welcome to WOW. I'm sure some of y'all have been peer pressured to be here. We told y'all this was a WOW that we did not want you to miss. It was even promoted at one point as the greatest WOW ever. Hopefully you saw that graphic around. Yeah, so hopefully this lives up to the hype because we have something really exciting to announce. Okay, and this is good news, so stay with me and let's get started. Now, I hope you know that we've put a lot of work into this. It's been a busy couple of weeks. I would guess you too have had a busy couple of weeks. Now, we have had Meet the Pastor night last week. Thank you for those of you who invited your parents. That was a lot of fun hanging out with them. Even just starting off the semester, we kind of got pretty swept up and, kicking off Bible study. We hired Mac. We had to onboard her. And I don't know about you, but when I get really busy and maybe a little overwhelmed, I am not always my best self. I would think you are the same. Like even today, for example, today was a little busy for me. Wednesdays normally are. Who here was annoyed today? Anyone get annoyed? Yes, relatable. I feel that. I was annoyed too today. Did anyone maybe get mad today? Did you get mad today? Anyone get frustrated? Okay. Let's flip it a little bit. Did anybody complain today? Any complaining? My favorite was the person who's looking at me right now with a blank face and just goes, that was real honest. I felt that. All right, all of us feel these things, so I think sometimes you come to church, and you end up wondering, okay, they talk about being like happy and in love with Jesus, and like sometimes I hear about Jesus, and we get this idea that being a Christian means like it's all just like smiley faces and rainbows, and you never struggle, and life, it always goes well for you because God is just on your side. But you leave these doors, and I would imagine you've experienced probably something difficult even today. You've experienced maybe something that just completely made you angry, and you were angry all week. And you come to church, and if you've been here a while, maybe this is your first WOW, let me just tell you this. If you've been here a while, we know that we get sad sometimes. We know that we get angry sometimes. And sometimes those feelings are justified. Things have happened in your life that are unfair. And I am your champion. I am here to rally behind you when you're mad about something, okay? There are things in your life that should make you sad, that are sad things, and you should be upset about them. But then there's that third emotion that God is calling us to live out, and it's that happiness, it's that what we call joy. And how do all of those fit together? Because, look, this is not just a teenager thing, right? You know how people call you, teenagers, and it's kind of condescending. They're looking down on you of teenagers are so moody and negative all the time. This isn't just y'all. I'm sure many of you know that your parents, maybe you feel like all they do is complain. Maybe you feel like you have a teacher that nothing is ever good enough for them. This is like a worldwide thing. This isn't just you. So what do we do about it? Because look, y'all are one of the first generations that truly has access to 24-hour news. When I was in high school, if there was a war going on, there was a war going on, I don't really know much about it. Okay, when everything first started in Ukraine, that was everywhere, even on our phones. No matter what your For You page is, somehow you were getting that content. Y'all are the generation, as you know, that when you get on SnapMap, you can actually see your friends hanging out without you, or it's just mysterious because they all turned their location off. I didn't really know that I was left out until Monday. Let me tell you, that was a lot better, okay? There are a lot of things that are happening to y'all now that, you're gonna complain about, and I get it. That, you're gonna feel pretty negative about. Y'all know this, especially my seniors and juniors. College has never been more competitive than it is right now. Of course, you're stressed and feeling frustrated about all of those things because it's a lot. And when you look at the world, maybe you have happy moments here and there, but might feel more realistic to always prepare yourself that bad things are going to happen. You don't want to get your hopes up because then it's going to be worse or even embarrassing if what you think will happen or what you think should happen doesn't happen. Does that make sense? So of course we complain and we get frustrated. And look, what we're talking about tonight is a story that I want all of you to know. Really, that's the main reason I called and rallied all of you here tonight. And I said, I want every student who is in this ministry to be here tonight. And I know you might be thinking, Chelsea, just to tell us like another Bible story. No. I want this story to be one that is a huge part of your faith. I want this story in the Bible to be one that you can reference like that. I want this story to be something that I really believe you can build your faith on, and you will look different literally tomorrow. You will look more like God tomorrow. You will look more like God in the next hour if you choose to make this story a part of your faith and a part of your life, especially when you leave these doors. See, this story is pretty not super popular one in the Bible. It's about a guy named Nehemiah. Some of you have heard this story with me if you were on a mission trip a few trips ago. And Nehemiah is kind of weird. A lot of the people in the Bible are kind of weird. And he says, hey, I want to rebuild the wall of Jerusalem. What happened to the wall? People invaded. They tore it down. Now everyone's sad and depressed because Jerusalem doesn't feel like home. Think of the landmarks around here that make Dallas feel like home. Is it the giant green Bank of America tower? Is it Reunion Tower? Is it the Omni when it's a very good day and it says go Mavs across it because the Mavs won? I don't know. Imagine those things were gone. Dallas doesn't feel like Dallas. So of course, the people are upset that Jerusalem doesn't feel like Jerusalem. And Nehemiah keeps asking, yo, let's rebuild it. Let's fix this. And at first, people are like, no, that dude's weird. No, that's not going to happen. He's kind of too much. Eventually, though, people decide to help him build the wall. And so they go out to build it. And finally, it takes everyone working together. It's a beautiful story. And the wall is built. And they get ready to celebrate. Jerusalem feels like home again. We have this wall, so now we are safe again. And so they get ready to throw a party. So everyone gathers, and you think they're all about to be super pumped, super excited. We finally did it. We accomplished our goal. And the prophet comes to read from the law. And so I don't know if you know this. Maybe you can, maybe you don't. When I'm up here, some of you know this, I can see you, right? I can see you drinking something in the back. I can see you looking down. I think that's Carter. I can see you when some of you quickly just do a Snapchat. I've always wondered how many weird photos of me preaching exist in the world because I'll just be preaching and I just see it, But also, when I'm preaching, I can see if you're getting bored. I can see if it's hitting, if it's a good sermon. I can tell if wow, I'm talking way too long. I can tell if I'll see someone tapping their phone. I'm like, oh, they gotta go to the bathroom. I gotta wrap it up, okay? And so, Prophet Ezra gets ready to read in front of all these people, and you would imagine you're about to look out and see everyone is excited. Everyone is pumped, and he's reading the law, these books in the Bible. This would have been the Torah. This would have been early things that maybe you've studied with us in Bible study. And he looks out, and what are the people doing? They're crying. They're getting frustrated. They're mourning, is literally what the word says. They're angry. They're bitter. And frankly, they're really similar to maybe how we feel a lot of the time. When we go to church or we hear Bible studies or we hear all of the it sounds bad, I'm your pastor, but the foo-foo Christian stuff of love everybody, do this and be kind. And the people are fed up. They're hearing this. And basically what they're saying is okay, fine, that's great. I have to do that to follow God. We're just not good enough. This is just too much. They're hearing all of the great things that God once did, and maybe you feel like this in church. And you're like, okay, but God doesn't do that anymore. I don't know about you. I haven't seen the last time God parted a Red Sea. I don't even know that I believe God could part the White Rock Lake at this point. They're reading this, and they're hearing this, and they're getting frustrated, and they're saying, God isn't the same anymore. And then you're telling me to love my neighbor? Have you met these people? They're not trustworthy. Have you heard what they've done? I'm supposed to love and show up for these people. So yeah, the people are mad and they are frustrated. And Ezra and Nehemiah are standing there, and it might surprise you how they respond and what they do. And this is a passage I want you to know. It's in Nehemiah chapter 8. in verses 9 and 10. Then Nehemiah, the governor, Ezra, the priest, and teacher of the law, and the Levites, this means even more pastors are there, okay, who were instructing the people, said to them, "This day is holy to the Lord your God. Do not mourn or weep." For all the people had been weeping as they listened to the words of the law, right? They say it to him. They say to all of these people, hey, this day is holy. This is why this is weird. What they're saying, you guys, is, hey, this day right now, when we're about to celebrate the wall, when we're about to celebrate what's been rebuilt, this right now isn't about how hard your life is. This right now is about how good God is. Stop focusing on how little you have, and in fact, stop focusing on maybe how little you feel right now. Instead, what we are calling you to do is more than that. And so they keep talking and say, Nehemiah said, "Go and enjoy choice food and sweet drinks and send some to those who have nothing prepared. This day is holy to our Lord. Do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength." They're saying, yeah, there is a lot to grieve about. There are a lot of doubts you and I have. There are a lot of things about our faith we haven't figured out. There are a lot of questions that I probably still have too, and you have too. But right now, in this moment, we're going to celebrate what God has done, and I want you to celebrate that. And I want you to invite other people. I want you to bring people in. Why? Because the joy of the Lord is your strength. And now I get it, okay? High school was not super easy for me. And it wasn't even school, right? I had a lot of family stuff going on. So if I had heard this sermon in high school, I would be sitting there and I would say, you know what, Chelsea? That is really great that the joy of the Lord is my strength. But I still don't know how to go home some nights. I still struggle to really get along with my family. So what does that mean then, the joy of the Lord is my strength? Am I supposed to be happy about that situation? Right, what is it for you that is that, I don't even know if obstacle is the right word, but struggle or thing in your life where you're like, I know God is good, but I don't really see God showing up in that situation or that moment. And you will relate, like I do, to the Israelites who are questioning and who are wondering and who are just being negative. And let's be honest, too, when we think about our own negativity, how many of you, don't raise your hand, are friends with someone because you don't like the same person? How many of us have built friendships that really, when we're together, all we do is complain? How many of you will be sitting with a group of people, and if you're talking about your day, it always just starts negative? It's never about what went right with your day. It's never about how God is working. It's always about where you don't see God. It's about how teachers are unfair and parents don't get it and how your friends aren't actually that great of friends, right? We focus on the negative and then we bond that way, and so then we're like, well, it's not that big a deal. I'm just venting. It's not that big of a deal. I'm just complaining a little bit. I'm just, blowing off some steam. But y'all, it adds up. And maybe you don't believe me, but well, I'll show you something here in a second. How many of you are getting ready to go to the fair? Really? No one? Yeah, we're going to the fair. We'll be there fair day. Yay. I love the fair. I'm a born Texan. I also grew up with fair days, like many of you. Shh. I grew up in Rockwall. I don't know if you knew that. So we played Highland Park back in the day. I don't think we ever played like Highlands. But the thing about the fair is I think you got food people. Shh. And then how many of you are like game people, right? You go to the Midway and you spend too much money. Yeah, I feel like you're one or the other at the fair. You get excited about games, you get excited about the food. Hear me out. Shh. Hear me out. Shh. All right. I know that you and I, it's easy to say that those little comments, right? Those little negative moments, those little complaints, those little moments where you judge someone, that they don't add up. But I would guess you have also noticed that the first time your group of friends calls someone annoying means that person will always be annoying, that person will not be invited to hang out with you, right? It takes one person going, they're annoying, okay? And other things, like other little negative things. You can get your schedule. It's like the week before school starts, and you're thinking to yourself, oh, okay, I like my schedule. It looks pretty good. And then one person tells you, oh, but you have that teacher. And then you're like, oh, no, I have that teacher. She's the worst. I already know because people have told me. It took one thing. It could be as simple as, oh, my gosh, I can't stand that coach. And you kind of thought they were okay at first, but now you hear no one likes that coach. It could be, I don't know, you're sitting in worship even, right? And you're like, oh man, they're playing that song, and now you're just unhappy the rest of worship because you wanted them to play a different song. It could be as simple as, I don't know, wait, they're coming too? And now your entire day you're kind of annoyed because your plans have been interrupted because someone new is coming. But these are just little comments, Chelsea. They're not that big a deal. I would ask you, maybe this just happened to me. But have any of you, or maybe you can remember, the first teacher that set a limit on you? The teacher who said, maybe you should take an easier class. Oh, maybe science just isn't your subject. And ever since then, you never really tried in that subject. What about another one? What about even when you were younger? This one's a little silly, but I think it's true. And you had a crush on someone, and you're actually pretty excited about it. They seem like a good person. But the first time one of your friends said, oh no, they're ugly, or they're weird, or they're annoying, that was over. What about on a deeper level? How many of you, especially to my boys, there is one thing that your dad told you that you still think about a lot? And it was just a passing comment. It wasn't that big a deal. Ladies, I know a lot of us feel there's still that comment that maybe your mom made that still sticks with you. What about this one? What about that small little judgment someone passed in like 6th grade about some weird thing about an insecurity? Someone's like, oh, you have a lot of freckles, or oh, your ears are kind of big. And now literally to this day, you have a strange insecurity because of something someone said in 6th grade. So don't tell me that all these little comments, all these little judgment, all these little negative moments don't add up, because I would guess there's one of those little comments or little negative moments that is added up and it still bothers you. There is someone in your grade, you know I'm right, who was called annoying in 7th grade. And even though they've grown and they've changed, everyone still calls them annoying. These little things add up, and they are dangerous. We call that cynicism, right? You've heard that if someone is cynical. Like, look at this. Cynicism, it's negative. It's distrustful. How many of you have issues trusting people? And it causes you and me to reflect on what we lack, what we don't have. I'll never be as good as them. You don't trust people. You know what coach said I shouldn't be on that team? I don't trust that coach made the right decision. I deserve that. How dare they? It's negative constantly. And I know you've been drained by it because I would guess y'all have all encountered a friend who nothing was ever good enough. You go out to eat. Oh, we're going to this restaurant. They get their food. I don't know. I'd like it better if we had gone here. And it's draining. And God is calling us to live a different way that isn't negative and distrustful and exhausting, because acting this way, it is a big deal. And look, I am not telling you to act like everything is perfect. Knowing who God is, understanding what Nehemiah is saying, that the joy of the Lord is your strength, it does not mean that you pretend your life is perfect, that you act happy all the time. But what it does mean is that God, just like Nehemiah rebuilt the wall, God is calling you and me and everyone in this room, every person who calls themselves a Christian, to rebuild. So that when you say, oh my gosh, they're coming, they're so annoying, then you can also say, okay, well, maybe they're going through something. Maybe they're struggling. Maybe they need a new friend group because something happened. That when you say, oh my gosh, I have that teacher, they're the worst. I hate them. Everyone says they're garbage. that you can rebuild and say, you know what, maybe I don't have the best teacher, but maybe God is calling me to work harder in this class. Maybe there's people in this class, and that is how God is going to use me in this class, who I can get to know, and maybe I'll form new friendships. It means that if your coach didn't put you on the team you wanted, and you think this is stupid, and you complain about it, and you badmouth everyone who plays ahead of you, rebuilding means, you know what? I do believe that I should have made a different team. I do believe that. But here's where I'm at now. How can I be the best teammate possible? How can I rebuild and not tear down? Because look, this is joy. This is what it means when we say the joy of the Lord is your strength. You see, joy is positive. Joy is hopeful. And joy causes us to reflect on who God is. When you want to complain, when you want to be negative, when you want to call everyone around you annoying, joy says there is more here that God could be doing if only I'll listen, if only I'd be faithful, because I have hope that God is working in this. In those moments where you are annoyed, because I know that's going to happen, where you are angry, when maybe you do deserve something and you didn't get it, joy means that you're going to rebuild. It means that you know that God might be doing something bigger than you realize. It means that you know that, the world isn't always going to be easy. People aren't always going to like you. You're not always going to like other people. You're not always going to have great decisions thrust upon you in your life. You are not always going to get what you want. But you're not going to be someone who tears things down. You are going to be someone who rebuilds things. You are going to be someone who knows what, you know what? Maybe this didn't turn out how I wanted it to turn out. Maybe this person who cheated on me, that was horrible and that was awful, but you know what? God is with me and I'm going to learn from that situation. Maybe if you're the one who made the mistake, you know what? I'm not proud of that. That is not who I want to be. But the joy of the Lord is my strength, and I'm going to become a more godly person from that. Joy rebuilds. That is how God is calling us to live. Sometimes things do get knocked down. Sometimes your friends aren't always nice to you. Sometimes you don't even like your friends. Sometimes you don't get along with your family. Joy is not saying you pretend that none of that's happening. The joy of the Lord is your strength means you realize that God is still working, that hope is not lost. And when we act like this and just tear things down and say, this is stupid, that's so cringe, that's so annoying, why would they do that? No one understands. This is so ridiculous. Instead of just tearing things apart, when we do that, when we just label things so negatively, we are saying God can't work in that space. But when we approach things joyfully and witness how God is working and have hope for how God will keep working, that is when things change. And so that's why we wanted you to be here tonight, because tonight we are telling you for the first time, HPMC Youth, we are doing a theme for the year, and it's going to be Claim Joy. We as a youth group are calling out one another to claim joy. We as a youth group, as a church body, we are not okay with constant negativity. We are not okay with tearing down other people. We are not okay with saying God can't work in that space. God can't work in that person because I've labeled them. We are not okay with that. We are going to be people who claim joy, because the joy of the Lord, just like in the book of Nehemiah, will build walls stronger than your struggles and your insecurities can ever break down, because nothing is bigger than your God. No matter how dark it gets in your life, I know I've talked mostly about friends and teachers. If you lose someone you love, if you are having the worst year of your life right now, the joy of the Lord, that light, is still bigger than any darkness. That is who your God is. Do not let the world take away your joy and let you be stuck here just destroying things and tearing down things that God might want to just rebuild. You see, joy doesn't mean all is fine. But it means that you trust God is still building what everyone else thought was worthless and torn down. And look, I get it. You being like the super positive friend might make you feel weird, right? That's going to be very annoying. Chelsea, my friends don't want that. Y'all, when Nehemiah started trying to build the wall, everyone thought those things about him. Everyone. They're like, this guy is too much. This guy's crazy. This guy is so annoying. Won't he stop talking about the God thing already? But eventually, people started to buy into it. Y'all, joy is contagious. You see what happens in the story then? The wall is built. They hear the joy of the Lord is my strength. Then all of the people went to eat and to drink, to send portions and to have a great celebration because they understood what had been said to them. They understood that the peace in their life, the joy in their life was not about what was happening around them, but that it was rooted in who God is and how God is at work. This is who we will be this year. And I want you all on board. You are not allowed to call this annoying and cringe, because this is who God is calling us to be. And when we run from joy, we are running from who our Savior is. And look, this is going to be awkward for you at first. The first time someone in your life group calls you out for being too negative, you're going to be annoyed. But let me tell you something. How many of you lifted weights today? How many of you had a tough workout today? Are you sore? Y'all know this. To get stronger, to grow, it's uncomfortable. Let this be the place where you can get uncomfortable in your faith. Because God is going to move if you claim joy. And your friends will change. Your life group should change. Do you understand? Your life group should not look the same as your other friend groups. It should be different. It should be a group of people who push you to look more like God, and this year will push you to claim joy. So one of the things we're going to start doing this year in life group is we have these tickets. And every life group, we're even doing it at Bible study, we're going to ask you to write on them, how did you claim joy this week? And I guess you could lie and just pretend you did. I guess you could not do it. But I would guess you were here because you want something more. And so, every Wednesday, every Sunday, we're going to collect these tickets. And we are going to just have a box to put them in so we can see how did we as a church claim joy this year? How did we see God this year? How did we walk through hardships and trials or frustrations, small issues, large issues, and how did we choose to claim the joy of the Lord? Nehemiah rebuilt an entire wall around a massive city because he chose to claim joy. What is God going to build in your life if you choose to do this with us this year? As we wrap up, we have a theme song for this year, which is pretty cool. We've never done that before. And I'm just going to tell you, there's two words that are repeated a lot in this song, and it's even if. Even if. And when we sing this song here in a minute, when we hear the words, when you see on the screen the words, even if, I don't just want you to sing them, I want you to yell them. Oh no, Chelsea, that makes me awkward, I'm uncomfortable, that's so cringe. Stop. We are claiming the joy of the Lord. And sometimes it's gonna be awkward. Sometimes you might be like, Chelsea, that was too much, that was cringe. Come talk to me after, that's fine, I don't care. We are going to claim the joy of the Lord. We are going to sing this song to our God because we believe that even if the worst thing in the world happens, there is still joy to be claimed because Jesus has overcome the world. That is who we are going to be this year. HPMC, I hope you will claim joy with me because I think God is going to transform not only your life and my life, the life of this youth group, but our city too. Would y'all pray with me?